Hello and welcome to Business Connections, a show produced by the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm Stephanie Precht, Director of Public Policy and Economic Development for the Chamber. At the Chamber, we work every day to help businesses in the Dayton region succeed. For many of our members, safety in the workplace is a major undertaking. Education is important, and so is the need to make workers' compensation coverage affordable and accessible. The Chamber is able to provide both through the Dayton-Maumee Valley Safety Council and a great working relationship with the Bureau of Workers' Compensation. And right now, luckily, we're in the midst of an important window for any business that would like to get involved. We'll explain all of this today. Joining me today is Julia Hall with CareWorks Comp, a Chamber partner and Ohio's largest workers' compensation, risk consulting, and claims management service provider. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you.
Great. So just to start out, can you give us a quick overview of what CareWorks Comp does for businesses as it relates to workers' compensation?
Sure. CareWorks Comp is a third-party administrator related to workers' compensation. We provide group rating and group retrospective rating programs for businesses all across Ohio. And part of the services that we provide include claims management, assistance, helping to get them into those savings programs, helping employers with that. We also provide representation at industrial commission hearings should a claim need to go to the industrial commission. But assisting employers overall with understanding a claim and how it's going to impact them.
Sure, absolutely. And Julia, we've been so fortunate at the Dayton Chamber to have such a great working relationship with CareWorks Comp over the years, and with you in particular, even being so far as to being housed in our office. So
Correct.
It's really helpful to our members, I think, to have that accessibility to you and all the services that you provide. But I was just wondering, why do you think it's important for businesses to take a close look at who they're using to manage their workers' comp claims?
Well, it's very important to know that your claims are being managed when you do have them. A claim can really impact a business from a financial perspective quite significantly, because sometimes one claim, if it's significant enough, can make a huge financial impact. So when you have a company that is as experienced in claims management and is as large as CareWorks Comp, that has the ability to manage those claims, keep those costs controlled for a business, to help protect their premium down the road, because you have to look at that claim and how it's going to impact you for several years down the road. Right. And so the more that you can do to help control the costs of that claim, the better it's going to be in the long run for that business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mentioned at the beginning that we're in the middle of an important window for open enrollment. Could you talk a little bit about that open enrollment period?
Yes. It's actually time for us to start talking about and looking at offers for group rating for the 2017 rate year. And while it seems like it's early, it really is time to begin doing that. Employers will be able to request a quote from us through the Dayton Chamber's group rating program. And they can do that through your website, actually, through the member benefits page. There's a link where they can complete that temporary authorization form, or it's often called the AC3 form, that they can fill that out online through your website and be able to receive a quote from us that gives them an idea of what their savings are going to be for next year, for the July 1, 2017 rate year. But they'll need to make sure that once they receive an offer from us, they'll have to go ahead and turn around the paperwork, get it signed and sent back into us, because we have to file all of our groups with the Bureau the Monday before Thanksgiving.
Great.
So even though it seems far ahead, the deadline to enroll is a little sooner. So we need to make sure that that's done. And this is the perfect time to begin looking at it.
Great. So as Julia mentioned, employers that are looking right now, we've got www.chamber.org, DaytonChamber.org. And so we're looking at, it's just as simple as filling out that online form. It'll be populated to you and your company, and you'll be able to see what that cost savings could be in a really, concrete way.
Absolutely, and that form allows us to access enough of a company's information to be able to give them a good quote and to be able to give them a pretty solid estimate, and be able to recognize the claims that are already in their experience, or maybe they don't have any claims if they're
Sure,
fortunate,
absolutely.
be able to see their payroll, that kind of thing, so that we can provide them a really good estimate, be able to quote any fees to them straight up front, and so there are no surprises.
Well, absolutely. And you really described that cost control piece really well in talking about some of the workers' compensation. The other piece I wanted to highlight today is the Chamber Safety Council. We have the Dayton Miami Valley Safety Council housed as a program of the Chamber. I know you've been involved for many years, but this is really, I would say, a feather in the cap of the Chamber. It's really one of our key programs. The program itself, the Dayton Miami Valley Safety Council, has been around for many years. I think it was founded in 1932. It's been housed under the Chamber as one of our programs for the last 2 or 3 decades. But we're really looking at a long history of safety education, of employer education for workplace safety, and creating that culture and that environment where employers can find resources for safety training. Currently, we've got about 250 Safety Council members, and I know you interact with them at many of our monthly breakfasts. We do, as I mentioned, we have a safety breakfast with the experts each month, and so we'll invite sometimes folks in from CareWorks Comp, some of Julia's colleagues, and we'll also create a really robust speaker series around this. And so sometimes it's, something from as simple as, office safety for those employers who may not have, big facilities. They just need to do some common sense stuff. And sometimes it's as in-depth as looking at, some of our major employers and the safety related to manufacturing and construction. Usually our safety breakfasts average about, 100 to 120 attendees.
You do get a nice turnout.
It is, and I think, and maybe you can speak to it a little bit, that other component is that networking piece that you get.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially if you attend regularly, you really begin to develop relationships with a lot of the other attendees because they tend to be regulars as well.
Absolutely.
And I have found that the Miami Valley Safety Council does a really nice job of having a variety of speakers and a variety of topics, so that it really does appeal to all different types of employers across the board.
Right, and what we're finding, I think, is that our Dayton Chamber membership really reflects a lot of different sized members. However, I would say probably 95% of our members are small businesses. And so when you talk about workplace safety, you have someone who may be also an HR director. They may be their, maybe the head of the company. It may be a two-person shop. And so those people that maybe wear multiple hats can come to once a month a safety breakfast and really learn a lot in a short amount of time. The other piece I wanted to highlight, and this is where the second enrollment piece comes in, is right now the Safety Council, in partnership with the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, is offering an incentive program enrollment. And through this program, members that enroll in the rebate program can earn up to a 4% rebate on their workers' compensation premium. So it's just an additional sort of stacked benefit. This program began in 2004, and it was really on top of all of the educational stuff we were already doing. It was really designed to incentivize those employers that were they're doing the right things. And so there's a piece of it that is designed for participation, but there's also a piece of it that kind of speaks to what you alluded to, which is, looking at those claims and saying, we're going to do better next year, we're going to fix some of our problems.
That's right.
And so that performance piece, which is so important. The nice thing that we get to do is give money back to employers each year through the BWC. And so since the inception of the program, we've returned $7 million to Dayton Miami Valley Safety Council members.
That's wonderful.
I mean, that's just a huge amount of money.
That
Last year, we returned, it was over $400,000 to 115 of our members of all sizes. And so in terms of eligibility, we're talking about all companies, including group experience and group retrospective, are eligible for this rebate program.
Yes.
So the nice piece about that is it is a separate enrollment from what Julia was referring to in our group rating, but it is also accessible on the DaytonChamber.org website. You can go online. This enrollment period for the safety rebate program is shorter. So we're looking at an enrollment period just of July, so July 1st to July 31st to get enrolled in this program, And once you're enrolled, you start attending those monthly breakfasts. And at that point, that's really the primary requirement for being part of this rebate program. But Julia, you work with a lot of our member businesses. What do you think it means to them to be able to save on workers' compensation, you know, speaking to that bottom line piece and also speaking to that safety education piece?
Absolutely. Well, really the opportunity to save as much as 53% off of any business expense is huge. But when you're talking about workers' compensation that can be in the top 5 expenses for some businesses, that's huge. Your group rating program, the program that we manage for your members, has just this year saved over $2 million for your members alone. So we're talking about significant savings, and as you said, with about 95% of your members being small businesses, the average savings of the members who are enrolled in your group is over $4,000. So it is quite significant. And if you turn around those costs and say, what can I do with that $4,000? What can I do with that 53% that I could save from my workers' comp premiums? Where can I put that? In some cases it might even be hiring an additional person.
Right.
So that's very important. From a safety perspective, being able to attend the Safety Council breakfasts and meetings and to receive that training that you can then turn around, take that back to your place of business, implement some of those strategies, and be able to continue to work on that safety piece, be able to keep those costs down ongoing by controlling those claims, just keeping them from happening in the first place.
Right, absolutely. I think, you know, at the end of the day, the bottom line for our companies, it has to deal with some of those cost-saving things that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
And I understand that $4,000 for many companies is a lot of money.
It is a lot.
I mean, that's incredible. The other piece of it, and you know, to highlight again, it really is talking about that peer-to-peer learning network. That ability to look at the expertise in the room around you, and even though, you know, the business may be different, you're learning so much from what they've experienced in their workplace. We currently have about 246 members, I mentioned, in the Dayton Valley Safety Council. There's about 84 safety councils across the state. We are one of the largest, and that really speaks to, I think, the commitment of the employers in our region.
I agree.
From the very beginning, even, you know, predating when the Chamber started managing the program, this was a robust safety council, and that expertise has stayed and it continues to grow. And I think we're so fortunate in looking at the amount and the type of talent we're able to draw to kind of interact with some of our membership is really neat. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about the Chamber's partnership with CareWorks Comp and see if you can maybe explain some of the other benefits that the company has to offer.
Sure. Well, group rating is the one that we've been speaking about mostly, and that benefit is certainly significant with the ability to save 53% off of premiums, and that's an upfront discount. Right. There's another program that's available that some employers may not have heard of. It's a little newer program, and it's an option for employers maybe who aren't eligible for group rating because they've had some claims activity. And so group retrospective rating is another option that is available that can save employers significant amounts of money. They do pay full premium up front, but they have the potential to receive quite a rebate later on down the road after the completion of the rate year. But for those employers who have had some claims that make them ineligible for group rating, this is a really nice option. And it's one that, if that becomes an option or a choice for employers, we spend a lot of time talking to those members about that program, what it's going to mean, helping them to understand how that program is going to work for them. And then the other piece that we offer both the group rating and group retro participants is an unemployment consultation piece. And it's free of charge. It's rolled into the fees that they already pay each year. And it allows those members to contact us. We have unemployment specialists who can just over the phone sometimes answer questions that may keep them out of trouble if they have an unemployment situation. Maybe they have a question about why their unemployment taxes went up and they're not clear on why that happened, and they want to make sure it's correct. Sometimes maybe they have a personnel issue that they're concerned could result in unemployment down the road, and they want to make sure that they've done everything correctly so that it doesn't ultimately end up impacting their business with an unemployment claim. So that's a nice added service by just participating in the group rating or group retro program through the Chamber.
Absolutely, and I really think you, some of your descriptions really underscores the fact that CareWorks Comp is all about customer service.
Yes.
And I know you speak to so many employers on a daily basis. Just to reiterate, you mentioned at the beginning, but what should a company do if they are interested in exploring their workers' comp options?
Oh, absolutely. Well, certainly they can just go to your website. Under member benefits, under that tab, then there is a link to the CareWorks Comp page. There's a link where they can complete the temporary authorization form or the AC3 form so that they can receive a quote from us. And they can do that really anytime starting now up through early November and be able to receive a quote for the 2017 rate year. But that's kind of the first step to get started, and then we'll send a quote and they can look at that and consider that.
Absolutely. So there's really nothing to lose. We're looking at, you know, up to a 53% savings.
Absolutely. And there's no obligation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Julia mentioned the November deadline for the workers' compensation program. I again wanted to reiterate the deadline for our Dayton Miami Valley Safety Rebate Program. That is July 31st. So we're looking at, again, going to DaytonChamber.org, looking under the Safety Council tab and finding the enrollment information for getting into that program. And it's a very simple form. You'll be enrolled, and then you can start attending our monthly safety breakfast with the experts and then earning that, that credit towards a potential 4% rebate at the end of the program year. So again, low risk, very easy to take advantage of. And at the end of the day, it's about education and it's about that cost savings piece as well. I did want to mention my colleague Amanda Byers. She can be reached at abyers@dacc.org and at 226-1444. She is our Safety Council Manager, so she is really the expert and will help with the enrollment process for both programs, but specifically for the Miami Valley Safety Program. Julia, I just want to thank you so much for all of your help and expertise. We can usually see Julia at our monthly safety breakfast, but we also have the opportunity to reach a larger audience each year at our safety conference in October.
Absolutely, and I'm always there too.
Absolutely, that's October 13th this year at Sinclair. That is an opportunity for businesses from across the region to attend. It's typically about 350 attendees. It's 4 tracks throughout the day, all of safety training, so you could attend up to 5 or 6 sessions.
Yes, it's a great program.
It is, and you have folks like Julia and other companies who are really service providers. So there's an entire exhibitor showcase where you can really get some of those resources. Up front. So it's a nice opportunity. October 13th, there will be more information on the website about that. But keep an eye out. It's a nice intro, I guess, if you're would like to look more into what the programs can offer for you. But if you are interested in the rebate program, the deadline is July 31st. So wanted to reiterate that. But with that, thanks again to Julia.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm Stephanie Precht, Director of Public Policy and Economic Development for the Dayton Chamber. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'd love to hear from you on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Twitter. And if you'd like to know more about the Chamber and Chamber membership, go to DaytonChamber.org. Have a great day.
This month's program was about worker safety and the Dayton Area Chamber's program that helps train supervisors and owners on how to best create, communicate, and implement a culture of a committed environment of workplace safety. There are so many good ideas that companies can share through our region's Dayton Miami Valley Safety Council. Our organization, now serving the employer community for over 60 continuous years, benchmarks the best practices in creating this culture of a safe workplace for all. Yes, we have government regulations designed to protect employees, but I've found that the use of punitive measures is not always the best way to improve workplace safety, and morale. The best method is where employers understand their greatest asset is their workforce, whereas punitive measures will only go so far. Our relationship with the state's Bureau of Workers' Compensation has been of late a very healthy and proactive one. The BWC's help in training, counseling, and creating employer incentives is a much better driving force than any threat that OSHA or other governmental bureaucracies make. We're very proud of our longtime service to our employer community in worker and workplace safety. Our 64th Annual Safety Conference and Symposium, scheduled for Thursday, October 13th at Sinclair Community College, will be yet another opportunity for our professional and volunteer leaders to showcase our efforts to make sure our families, neighbors, and citizens work in safe and efficient organizations. We hope you'll join us through the Safety Council and at our fall event.